Hello, I'm Mohsen Jamali. You watch Afghan News. Support for the Taliban among Afghans has steadily declined in recent years, and people are feeling a growing sense of insecurity, according to a survey funded in part by the U.S. government. The survey released Tuesday by the San Francisco based Asia Foundation also found that an overwhelming majority of Afghan adults, 82%, back reconciliation and reintegration efforts with insurgent groups. It said that the number of people who said they sympathized with the aims of Taliban had dropped to 29% compared to 40% last year and 56% in 2009. The survey also found that nearly 46% thought the country was moving in the right direction, with reconstruction and rebuilding, good security in some areas, and improvements in the education system being considered the main reasons. But for the first time since the survey began in 2004, a rising number showing an increase to 35% from 27% last year, now seeing that Afghanistan is moving in the wrong direction. The survey was conducted among 6,348 adults in July in all of Afghanistan's 34 provinces, excluding some dangerous areas. The Taliban, in a statement late Monday, threatened Afghan National Conference participants with harsh penalties if they voted for permanent American bases in the country. The Afghan government is said to hold the National Conference, called the Loy Jirga, from Wednesday to discuss a partnership pact with the United States in proposed peace talks with the Taliban. The Taliban called the meeting an unfortunate plan by the foreign enemies and their internal mercenaries, and said those who vote would be considered national traitors. At least 2,000 politicians, tribal elders, provincial officials, lawmakers, and members of civil society will attend the four-day conference. High on the agenda are negotiations between the United States and Afghanistan about a strategic partnership agreement to be finalized ahead of the planned withdrawal of NATO forces in 2014. The Afghan government says it is pleased that the International Monetary Fund has decided to reinstate a credit program for the country, a move that will revive the flow of international aid that was suspended over the Kabul bank crisis. Afghanistan has been without IMF backing for more than a year, while some donor nations had already stopped authorizing payments to Afghanistan. Kabul bank nearly collapsed in 2010 because of mismanagement and hundreds of millions of dollars in questionable loans. The Afghan finance ministry said Tuesday that the IMF had approved a $129 million loan to support reforms in the banking and financial sectors and improve public financial management. The IMF was to formally announce its decision later in the day. At least 5 missiles have been fired on Herat airport by insurgents, Afghan local officials said, but there were no casualties. Said Muhammad Sharif, Herat provincial police chief, on Tuesday said that the incident happened on Monday night and the missiles were fired from Guzar district, which landed on different parts of the airport. Sharif added that no one has been arrested in connection with the incident and police have started investigation about the attack. No group has claimed responsibility for the attack yet. Guzra is an insecure part of Herat province where insurgents have been active. A suspected U.S. drone strike targeting a compound used by armed groups has killed at least 6 fighters in Pakistan's tribal region near the Afghan border, security officials said. The strike took place on Tuesday in Miran Shah Bazaar, an area in the town of Miran Shah in North Waziristan, which is known as a strong bastion of Taliban and Al-Qaeda-linked armed groups. A security official speaking on condition of anonymity said that at least 6 militants were killed when a U.S. drone fired 2 missiles on a rebel compound in the bazaar, while the other security officials said that the death toll was 7. He said thick smoke could be seen coming out of the compound after the strike, adding these identities of those killed could not be immediately verified. The United States has not publicly acknowledged its use of drones against purported Al-Qaeda and Taliban targets on the Pakistani side of the border, although use of the weapons has increased markedly under U.S. President Barack Obama, with more than 60 attacks reported in the country so far this year. At least 69 people were killed in southern Syria on Monday, most of them in clashes between army deserters and troops loyal to President Bashar al-Assad, activists said on Tuesday. The violence came as Syria faces growing international isolation following the Arab League's decision to suspend its membership in response to Assad's crackdown on 8 months of protests, calling for his overthrow. Hundreds of people have been killed so far this month, making it one of the bloodiest periods of the Syrian protests, inspired by uprisings which have overthrown leaders in Tunisia, Egypt, and Libya. The United Nations says 3,500 people have been killed in Assad's crackdown on the protests, and human rights groups say security forces have carried out killings and torture which constitute crimes against humanity. Meanwhile, the Jordan's King Abdullah on Monday called for Syrian President Bashar al-Assad to step down in the interest of the Syrian people. New York police are evicting anti-Wall Street demonstrators from the New York Square, where the nationwide Occupy movement began, according to protesters. The demonstrators said in a statement released on Tuesday that Liberty Square, home of Occupy Wall Street for the past 2 months and birthplace of the 99% movement that has spread across the country and around the world, is presently being evicted by a large police force. The office of Michael Bloomberg, New York's mayor, said that protesters should temporarily leave the park and move tents and other structures. The protesters said hundreds of police were mobilizing around the park and that the eviction of the demonstrators was in progress. Protesters set up camp in Zuccotti Park on September 17th to protest a financial system they argue mostly benefits corporations and the wealthy. And that Julia Gillard, the Australian Prime Minister, says she favors overturning a ban on sales of uranium to India as a means of strengthening relations with one of the world's fastest growing economies. Gillard told reporters on Tuesday that the ruling Labour Party would debate lifting the ban at its conference next month. Canberra currently refuses to sell nuclear material to India because it has not signed the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, which aims to control the spread of nuclear weapons while promoting the development of peaceful nuclear power. India conducted nuclear weapons tests in 1998 and is one of 3 nuclear-armed nations, along with Israel and Pakistan, which are non-signatories of the NPT. Gillard said the policy shift would apply only to India and not open up potential sales to Israel or Pakistan, as only India had sought and received an exemption from the International Atomic Energy Agency and the Nuclear Suppliers Group. That's all for now. Thanks for joining us.